continuing to mount when it comes to Anil Ambani. Bank of Baroda, in fact, has classified loan accounts of Reliance Communications and its former promoter, Anil Ambani, as fraud under RBI's 2024 Fraud Risk Management Guidelines. In fact, we'll have Vishwanath Nair joining us with some of those important details as well. And it's another classification as far as you do have Reliance Communications that's concerned. And previously, of course, you did have SBI as well as Bank of India that had done the same. Ambani's denied all of those allegations and is taking legal advice at this point in time. And let's also take a look at the story so far, the latest developments as well. Vishy, help us out with those.
Right. So what we do know that has happened last evening is basically, as far as Bank of Baroda is concerned, they have gone ahead and classified Reliance Communications as well as Anil Ambani as fraud accounts. Now, that's, of course, the news that has happened last evening. This is following what State Bank of India as well as Bank of India both did. State Bank of India back in June and then Bank of India last month. They both classified Anil Ambani as well as RCom as fraudulent accounts. Ambani's, of course, gone ahead and denied all allegations by all the lenders. He is currently taking some legal advice from potential lawyers to see how he can counter this. As far as Reliance Communications is concerned, the company was admitted to insolvency back in 2019. Since then, of course, a lot has happened. We'll give you a fair idea of what exactly is owed by Reliance Communications to its lenders. If you look at where the Indian lenders are, Indian banks and NBFCs are owed close to 21,000 odd crore under the insolvency proceedings. Within this, LIC's claim of about 4,758 crore, that's the largest claim as far as the lenders are concerned. Chinese lenders too have claims against the company. There are a bunch of international lenders as well, like, for example, Barclays, SC Lowy and HSBC France. All of these have exposures to Reliance Communications under the insolvency proceedings. The total financial creditors, 21,000 crore was Indian. Total financial creditors is about 40,000 odd crore, which Reliance Communications is liable to repay to the banks. Now, let's take a look at where the top 5 Indian bank exposures are. State Bank of India is 3,628 crore. That's a very large exposure that they have. Bank of Baroda, which of course came in last evening with that fraud classification, 2,200 odd crore. You've got Union Bank of India with about 1,300 crore, Bank of India 990. Other banks include Canara Bank with about a 906 odd crore. Canara Bank, remember, had tried to classify the account as a fraud, but since then has not proceeded with that because there was a Supreme Court order that prohibited immediate classification without hearing the borrower's side. Now, what does this mean for the banks, for the borrower, for the broader investigating agencies? According to RBI's 2024 guidelines, banks are required to lodge a complaint with the CBI if the total amount due is over 6 crore. So in this case, of course, they will have to lodge that complaint with the Central Bureau of Investigations. Separately, the borrowers who are linked, either the borrowers or those linked to the borrower companies, they will all have to face penal measures because that is what the fraud requirement is. These penal measures include that borrowers as well as the linked persons will not be able to borrow any bank loans for 5 years after repaying the defrauded amount. So that's an important distinction to make here. And because RCom is an insolvent company, so special cases apply. In case of the IBC cases, banks have the discretion to lend further to the company, depending on who buys that company under insolvency. But the penal measures will continue against the ex-promoters, managers, as well as directors of those companies, even after insolvency. So that's where the current situation lies as far as RCom as well as Anil Ambani are concerned. We'll need to see whether there is a legal opposition by Anil Ambani, whether more banks join the course. That's something that we'll watch out for on NDTV Profit.